even with Leonard Fournette at LSU in 2016, once he had some injury troubles, we got really our first significant glimpse at Derrius Guice. And we had to like a lot of what we saw. And while it was understandable to view Fournette as kind of this big-time prospect, this future first-round pick, this top-5 type of guy, and he ultimately was, and he ultimately proved it as a rookie for the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2017, it was Derrius Guice that you should have been almost equally as excited for his opportunity in 2017 as that kind of lead dog feature back in the LSU backfield, and was he's going to take some of the success from 2016 and it carry over, and are we talking about another first-round pick out of that LSU Tigers backfield? Well, 2017 came and went, and I think a lot of people are pretty high on Derrius Guice. In fact, I've seen a number of people that have him as their #1 running back on the board. I don't. I'm not quite as high on him as others, but I could see why people are, and I could see why many people feel like he might be the best running back in this class. So here's what I saw when watching him on film. What I really loved about him was his ability to run through tackles by lowering his shoulder consistently. He's not a huge back. He's kind of a shorter, squattier type of back, but he really packs a wallop as a runner. He can get compact. He can run with physicality. He delivers violence very consistently. This is a guy that broke a shit ton of tackles at LSU, and I expect him to break a crap ton of tackles at the NFL level, even going against bigger, stronger, better athletes, just because of his running style, his kind of compact frame, the way he's able to get into a really athletic position and deliver a boom consistently. He's also got outstanding vision and patience. That's something I really love out of my running backs, are guys that can stay within themselves, don't always react to the first thing that they see, give the blocking up front time to develop if they've got the time to develop, and then the vision to be able to see things that are there and then sometimes see things that aren't there that eventually are there. And Guice has that in great abundance. I absolutely love that about his game. I also love his cutting ability. He's a very good cutter. Jump cuts, multiple cuts on the move, the one-cut stuff. He can do all of that stuff. He's got some definite make-you-miss ability. It's not Saquon Barkley-esque for sure, but it is more than effective to put the occasional defender on roller skates, get them on the back of their heels, and get them off balance and cause some missed tackles that way. Ironically, though, for the size of back that he is, he's much more likely to break tackles by running through them than missing them at the NFL level. And he's strong as hell with a great work ethic according to all reports, and you just watch him and you could see that great work ethic come through with the nastiness and the violence with which he runs the football, the anger and like the controlled rage and fury that he has. And you can see that strength at play too for a guy of his size. You know, I'm not saying he's small by any means, but he's not 6 foot, 230 pounds or anything, but he runs like it. I mean, he runs like a big between the tackles power back with some burst and some speed. So I get where people looking at it, and especially even with 2017, saying, hey, he battled through some nagging injuries and stuff. Watch his 2016 film where you see more burst and explosiveness and translate that onto Guice as he goes into the NFL and imagine what he's going to be able to do. It's a scary thought. But I do have some worries about him as I project him to the NFL. Number one, to me, he wasn't the same player on film in 2017 as he was in 2016. I thought he had more burst, quickness, explosiveness, make-you-miss ability in his 2016 season than he did this year. Again, I know he had a variety of kind of like small nagging injuries or didn't cause him to miss a ton of games, but it limited his effectiveness in some, took him out of the game some other times. But I just didn't see a guy with the same type of burst. And the truth of the matter is, at the NFL, you play more games, you get more physical pounding on you. There are going to be times where you have to play through those nagging injuries and find a way to be as close to as every bit productive as you are when you're 100% healthy. Because how often are you really going to be 100% healthy? And that does concern me, is that if Guice gets anything wrong with him, if Derrius has any issue at all, he might not be the same guy. Well, you're going to be that a lot at the NFL level. And is his durability going to be a future concern with some of the nagging injuries he had in 2017? I know there are people talking about if you grade him off of his 2016 film, he's probably the #1 back in this class. And that may potentially be true. And again, I was more impressed with him in 2016 than 2017. But that's not the way this grading stuff works. You have to take all of that into account. You could see what he's been and see what he most recently was and try to draw your conclusion to what's more closer to his reality at the NFL level. But you can't just ignore this year to focus on this year, because this year might very well be more close to his reality. It might very well be. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. And even then, I think his speed and quickness is just okay, but not great for a running back of his size. You know, you talk about maybe 5'10", 5'10 and a half, 210, 215 pounds. You'd like him to be quicker. You'd like him to have more burst. You'd like him to have more explosiveness, more home run speed. And he doesn't have that to that level. He just doesn't. He has enough to be an NFL starter, but he doesn't have enough to be a true, like, home run threat, game-breaking type of athlete. He just doesn't have that, and I would like to see that more out of a guy like that, because when you look at that size, the running style that he currently has, it could put him at risk for a lot of injury, because he's going to have to take a lot of big hits, because he's going to have to lower the boom a lot. And you worry about those types of running backs when they really have one primary way that they can beat you. Also, when you talk about 3-down abilities, he's not the most refined pass catcher. LSU does a very poor job of getting their backs involved in the passing game, and for reasons I know not why. So he's going to need some work, and for a guy like him, you envision him being a future 3-down starter, a 3-down player at the NFL level. You'd like to see more impact out of the passing game than he gave you at LSU. Now, that said, similar to Fournette, where Fournette wasn't utilized much of the passing game at LSU, but you get him into Jacksonville and you just throw him a couple of screens and a couple of dump-off passes in the flat and let him go to work. It could be a similar thing for Derrius here, and that's fine. I would envision he has more upside in that at the NFL level than he did at the college level, because it was the system holding him back. Now, when I put all this together, I see a guy where I understand where some teams and a lot of the Twitter draft heads and the talking draft heads will rate him higher than Saquon Barkley because of the physical running style, his ability to break tackles. Also thinking about the burst that he had in 2016, envisioning that he'll have that in 2018 and going forward. And if that's the case, it could very well be right. He very well could be the best back in this class, because he's already a really, really good prospect, and he wasn't 100% in 2017. He was missing some burst, he was missing some explosiveness, and he wasn't utilized that much as a pass catcher. Imagine if he's utilized more as a pass catcher in the NFL level. Imagine if he's got more of that burst and explosiveness back in a healthy season as a rookie. Yeah, he could very possibly be an Offensive Rookie of the Year type of candidate. He most certainly could end up being the best running back in this class. I will say this, even though he's not my #1 running back, if he's not a first-round pick, teams should have their heads examined. You can take all that positional value and all this other crap, so that way, you could massively reach on some pass rusher or some corner that's very likely going to flame out. Guice isn't going to flame out. He will be a productive player, at least a borderline Pro Bowl type of talent. I'm taking those guys in the first round. So again, if these scouting departments don't put first-round grades on him, in terms of the top 32 player in the draft, if these GMs don't pull the trigger and he falls to the second round, then they should all have their heads examined collectively as a unit, and they probably should any damn ways. I wonder if the Combine will help cement his place as a top 20 pick, especially when he gets there and he hits things like the bench. He could show off some maybe in the drills. Maybe he'll be able to run a decent 40 time, which I think would really help him. Because it'll help teams to see that there is more burst and speed there than there was in 2017, then he probably goes in the top 20 for sure. There's still a chance that he could. I'd be surprised if he lasts much longer than Detroit at pick 20, but he might not be there if he has a good combine and has a good rest of the draft process. My NFL comparison for him is Ray Rice, minus the hitting the fiance part. When you look at them, smaller backs that run with some power and some ferociousness, not huge weapons in the passing game, but you can deploy them and do certain things in the passing game. I look at Ray Rice, Guice, name drawing, similar type of players. And Rice had a good, productive NFL career former second-round pick out of Rutgers. My final grade on Derrius is an 89.0. So borderline, high second, early first-round pick type of guy. Technically, the grade is a second-rounder, but again, I could easily make a justification. He's going to be easily a top 32 player in this draft class for me, and he's ultimately worth a first-round pick in this draft. It's just some of the concerns about what I saw in 2016 compared to 2017, the lack of refinement as a pass catcher and as a route runner. It was some of those things that held him back from me, but make no mistake, there is definitely a path and a viable path to him outplaying Saquon Barkley and everybody else in the draft, and in 3 years being talked about as the best running back to come out of this 2018 draft class, which, again, for the running back position would be saying something just like 2017's class. This is a really good class.